Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, always exciting to dive into a new book.
You can say that again. And this one is called Level Up Your Life.
10 Strategies for Rapid Personal Transformation.
Um, yeah, that title's a little bit much, right?
That's
But,
not really what you think.
oh,
Yeah, it's not like telling you to climb Mount Everest or something.
okay, so what's it actually about?
Well, it's more about those small choices we make every day
Okay,
and how those choices can really add up over time.
interesting. So it's like those little things we do that end up having big consequences.
Exactly. Think about it like a video game.
Oh, okay. I like where this is going.
So you make all these small choices along the way,
Right,
and they end up determining whether you win or lose.
got it. So Level Up Your Life is about making those smart choices that lead to personal growth.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that even those seemingly small actions can have a big impact on our lives.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Can you give me an example from the book?
Sure, so picture this. You've always kind of been curious about woodworking, but you've never really tried it.
Okay.
That's Jasper's story in the book.
Okay, what happened to him?
Well, Jasper is just an average guy, no artistic background or anything, but he decides to take a woodworking class.
Oh, wow. Brave. What happened?
And it just unlocks this hidden talent he never knew he had. He ends up finding so much joy in it.
That's great.
But it's not just about building birdhouses.
What do you mean?
Well, through woodworking, Jasper actually develops all these other skills too, like problem solving and attention to detail.
I see.
And those skills actually end up benefiting his career as well.
Wow, so it's like a ripple effect?
Exactly. And that's where the whole level up concept comes in.
Okay, how so?
Because Jasper's not just learning a new skill in isolation.
Right,
He's using that skill to develop other aspects of himself.
I see.
So it's like he's leveling up his confidence, his resilience, his overall personal development.
That makes a lot of sense. So what are some other level up pathways this book talks about?
Well, there's Eleanor.
Okay.
Eleanor's story is all about rediscovering the power of reading.
Reading is important, I know that, but
I mean, think about it. Reading expands your vocabulary.
mhm.
It introduces you to different perspectives, different ways of thinking,
Yeah, that's true.
and it can even help you learn to empathize with others better.
I can see that.
So all these things contribute to making you a more well-rounded person, right?
Yeah, I get it, but honestly, sometimes I just feel like reading is a luxury I don't have time for.
I totally understand that feeling, but what's really interesting is that Eleanor actually figures out how to make time for reading,
Really?
even with a busy schedule.
Interesting.
Instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media before bed, she spends like 15 minutes with a book.
Okay.
And even that small change makes a huge difference for her.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
So what kind of difference did it make for her?
Well, she found that she was able to think more clearly during the day,
Mm.
and her sleep quality actually improved too.
Wow, so even small tweaks can really make a difference. This is fascinating.
It is, and it shows how even small steps can move us towards that level up goal.
I'm really starting to see how this all fits together. Do you have another story from the book that kind of brings this idea to life?
Sure. Okay, imagine this. You're Max,
Okay, I'm Max.
and you've always dreamt of being a digital nomad working from anywhere in the world.
That sounds amazing.
Right. But it also sounds pretty impossible for most people.
Yeah, how do you actually make that happen?
Well, Max figures it out.
Okay, how?
He starts by learning the skills that make it all possible.
Makes sense?
So he dives into things like digital marketing, web design,
Cool.
even coding.
Wow. So it's really about equipping yourself with the right tools.
Right. But there's more to it than just the technical stuff.
What do you mean?
Well, he also learns about things like self-discipline, time management, and how to stay focused when you're working remotely.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
Because those are just as important for a digital nomad lifestyle, maybe even more important.
Yeah, I can see that. It's one thing to have the skills, but it's another thing to actually be able to use them effectively in that kind of environment.
Exactly. So Max is not just learning a cool new skill,
Yeah,
he's actually leveling up his entire approach to work and life.
that's really insightful. So it's really about personal transformation on a deeper level.
Yeah, it's not just about learning a skill, it's about using that skill to create a whole new way of living.
This is way more than just a typical self-help book. This is about making concrete changes, developing new skills to achieve your goals.
Right. It's about taking action, not just reading about it.
I love that. Okay, so tell me about another strategy from the book.
All right, think about a time when you really pushed yourself physically.
Oh, like when I trained for that 10K a few years back.
Okay, perfect. So remember how good it felt to finish that race?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was so proud of myself.
Exactly. And now imagine that feeling amplified like tenfold.
Wow.
That's Liam's story.
Okay, who's Liam?
So Liam decides to push his physical limits by training for a race, but it becomes about way more than just crossing the finish line.
What do you mean?
Well, through the training, he discovers this incredible mental resilience.
Oh,
He
wow.
joins this amazing, supportive community of runners, and he learns to push through discomfort and doubt.
Well, I'm already feeling inspired.
And these are all skills that he can then apply to other areas of his life, not just running.
No, that makes sense. So it's like conquering those physical challenges actually helps you develop mental strength and resilience that he can then use in other situations.
Precisely. And
Yeah.
that mental strength often leads to greater confidence, a real hunger for growth that goes way beyond just physical achievements.
That's amazing. So it's another example of how pushing past your comfort zone in one area can have these positive ripple effects on other parts of your life.
Exactly. And Liam's story really highlights how those small actions can create those big changes.
I see the connection back to the level up idea again.
Yeah.
It's not just about training his body, it's about training his mind too.
And that mental toughness is something he can then apply to any challenge, not just physical ones.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, what other level up pathways does this book explore?
Okay, let's say you're suddenly thrust into a situation where you have to lead a team.
Oh man, that sounds familiar. I remember when I had to organize that fundraiser for our community center.
Yeah, exactly. It can be really daunting, right?
Totally.
But Emily's story in the book shows that leadership isn't just about barking orders.
I'm listening.
Emily learns that it's actually about inspiring her team.
Ooh, how does she do that?
Well, she learns to listen to their ideas,
Okay.
to create a space for open communication,
Yeah, that's important.
and to really appreciate each person's unique contributions.
So it's more about empowering others and creating a shared vision rather than just being the one in charge.
Exactly. Emily realizes that leadership is as much about building relationships and fostering collaboration as it is about achieving goals.
I love that. It really makes you rethink the whole definition of leadership.
And in the process, she unlocks her own leadership potential.
That's amazing. And she develops a whole new set of skills that she can then use in every area of her life. It's not just about having a fancy title. It's about creating an environment where everyone feels valued and empowered to contribute.
Exactly. What other level up journeys does the book talk about? Well, picture a world where learning doesn't stop after you graduate.
Okay, I like this already.
A world where curiosity fuels your life and you're always seeking out new knowledge and experiences.
That sounds amazing, but also a little exhausting.
Well, that's Ethan's story. He's this guy who truly embraces lifelong learning.
That sounds incredible, but honestly, I'm already juggling a full-time job, family, a million other responsibilities. How does someone actually find the time and energy for all that learning?
Well, he doesn't add more to his schedule. He just makes learning a priority.
Okay, but how?
He just weaves learning into his everyday life.
Interesting.
He reads books, sure, attends workshops, but he also learns from conversations with friends, from trying new things like gardening, or just by reflecting on his own experiences.
So it's about making those conscious choices to fit learning into your life no matter how busy you are.
Exactly. It's not just about formal education. It's about cultivating that mindset, constant curiosity, and being open to learning new things.
I'm starting to see how all these different level up strategies actually connect with each other.
Right.
Whether it's learning a new skill, pushing yourself physically, or embracing lifelong learning.
It's all about personal growth and living a more fulfilling life.
Exactly. And there's another powerful strategy that ties into all of this, building your tribe.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I have my close group of friends, and they're always there for me no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of support system we're talking about.
I feel so lucky to have them.
And now imagine that support system amplified, like way bigger.
Wow. That's Maya's story.
Okay, so who's Maya?
She's this graphic designer who feels really isolated in her work.
I can relate to that feeling of isolation sometimes, especially when you work from home.
Right, exactly. But Maya realizes how important it is to build her tribe.
So it's about more than just networking for professional game.
Yes. It's about forming those deep connections.
Okay.
Connections that provide you with emotional support, mentorship,
Yeah,
a true sense of belonging.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So how does Maya go about building her tribe?
Well, she starts by putting herself out there, going to industry events and meetups.
That can be so intimidating, though.
It can be. But Maya quickly learns that it's not about trying to impress people.
Okay, that's good to know.
It's not about collecting business cards.
So what is it about?
It's about finding those authentic connections, those people who you genuinely connect with, who share your interests and passions.
I love that approach. It takes the pressure off and makes it more about building real relationships.
And as Maya starts going to these events, she learns this valuable lesson about networking.
Okay, what's that?
Reciprocity.
Oh, right. What you give is what you get.
Exactly. It's not just about what you can get from other people. It's also about what you can give to them.
That's a great point. It's about creating those mutually beneficial relationships where everyone feels supported and valued.
Right. So Maya starts helping others whenever she can, offering advice,
Okay.
reviewing portfolios, connecting people within her network.
Wow, so she's actively contributing to the growth of her community.
Exactly. And that generosity comes back to her tenfold. People are more willing to help her in return.
I can see how that would happen.
Doors open for her. She gets new opportunities.
So it's really about creating that positive cycle of giving and receiving.
And it's not just limited to in-person networking.
What do you mean?
Well, Maya also uses online platforms like LinkedIn to connect with people.
Huh. I never really thought of using social media for personal growth, but that makes sense.
It's about creating a digital tribe, finding those like-minded people who can support you from anywhere in the world.
And Maya takes it even a step further. She starts organizing her own meetups.
That's amazing.
So she's not just benefiting from her network, she's actually contributing to his growth.
Right. It's like creating a ripple effect of connection and support.
Wow, her story is so inspiring.
It really shows that building a tribe isn't just about personal gain. It's about creating a community where everyone can thrive.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about learning new skills,
Yes.
conquering physical challenges, embracing lifelong learning, and even the importance of building a strong support network.
And remember, these are just a few of the level up strategies this book explores. We've only just scratched the surface.
I can't wait to dive into the rest.
Me too. I think you'll find some really valuable insights in the next section.
Well, this is already making me think about my own level up story.
Well, how so?
What are those areas where I want to grow? What skills do I want to learn?
That's a great question to consider as we continue our deep dive into Level Up Your Life.
I'm already feeling inspired to make some changes.
And we'll be exploring even more stories and advice on how to achieve those goals.
I can't wait.
Let's take a short break, and we'll come back and dive into the next part of our exploration. Welcome back. Now, as we kind of dig deeper into Level Up Your Life, we meet this guy named Leo.
Okay.
And he's kind of at a crossroads in his life, you know?
Oh, yeah, I remember Leo. He wasn't sure about his career path, right?
Exactly. And he's also struggling a bit in his relationships.
Yeah, Leo's story really resonated with me. I think a lot of us can relate to that feeling of being lost or unsure of what we're really meant to be doing.
Absolutely. So Leo decides to try something a little different.
Okay, what's that?
He starts exploring personality assessments.
Oh, interesting. Like those personality tests you see online.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I know some people might be skeptical of those.
I get it. They can seem kind of gimmicky.
Yeah. But Leo approaches them with this real, genuine desire to understand himself better.
So he's not looking for a quick fix or anything.
Right. He just wants to learn more about his strengths and weaknesses.
I can respect that. So what kind of personality assessments did he try?
Well, he starts with one of those classic ones that categorizes people into different types.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those before.
As he's answering the questions, he really starts thinking about himself in a new way.
Makes sense. It's like those questions force you to reflect on your behaviors and patterns.
Exactly. And the results were actually surprisingly accurate.
Really?
Yeah. The assessment highlighted his strengths, like his problem-solving skills and his ability to really listen to people.
That's great.
But it also pointed out some areas where he could improve, like his tendency to avoid confrontation.
Okay, so it wasn't just telling him what he wanted to hear.
Right. And what's really interesting is that he doesn't shy away from those areas for improvement.
That's a good sign. A lot of people just focus on their strengths and ignore their weaknesses.
Right. But Leo sees those weaknesses not as flaws, but as opportunities for growth.
I like that perspective. So it's not about being perfect. It's about recognizing where you can improve and then actively working on it.
Exactly. And Leo doesn't stop there. He goes on to explore other personality assessments as well.
Okay, what else did he try?
Well, one of them highlighted his introverted nature,
Oh, interesting.
which helped him understand why he often felt drained after socializing with people.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm definitely an introvert too, and I know how important it is to have that alone time to recharge.
Absolutely. And another assessment focused on his emotional intelligence.
Okay, I've heard of that.
This one helped him understand how he manages his emotions and how those emotions impact his relationships.
Wow, so he was really building a comprehensive understanding of himself.
Right, he was piecing together all these different aspects of his personality to create a more complete picture.
And what did he do with all this new self-knowledge?
Well, he started making more informed choices. He realized that he thrived in jobs that required him to think analytically and solve problems.
So he wasn't trying to force himself into a role that didn't really suit him.
Exactly. He used this understanding of himself to find a career path that actually aligned with his natural strengths and preferences.
That's so important. I think a lot of people end up feeling unfulfilled in their work because they haven't really taken the time to figure out what they're truly good at and what they enjoy doing.
Absolutely. And the self-awareness also extended to his personal relationships.
Oh, that's interesting. How so?
Well, he learned to communicate his needs more effectively.
Okay, can you give me an example?
For example, he realized that he needed some alone time after social events, so he started explaining that to his friends and family.
That's so important. It's not about being antisocial. It's about recognizing your own needs and communicating them clearly to the people in your life.
Right. And that open communication actually led to stronger relationships because his loved ones finally understood him better.
They no longer felt like he was pushing them away or that something was wrong.
Exactly. It's about creating that mutual understanding and respect in relationships.
I love how Leo's story shows that self-knowledge isn't just about introspection. It's about using that knowledge to make positive changes in your life and to build stronger connections with the people around you.
You got it. Now remember, Maya.
The graphic designer.
Yes. Her story really shows how we can all benefit from building a supportive network.
We were talking earlier about the importance of finding your tribe.
Exactly. Maya's story is the perfect example.
Okay, remind me how she started building her tribe.
Well, she started by just going to industry events and meetups, even though it felt a little intimidating at first.
I can relate to that feeling. Sometimes it's hard to put yourself out there, especially if you're not naturally extroverted.
But Maya pushed past that discomfort and discovered something really important.
Okay, what's that?
Networking isn't about trying to impress people or schmooze your way into opportunities.
So what is it about?
It's about finding those genuine connections with people who share your interests and your passions.
That makes so much sense. It takes the pressure off, right?
Absolutely. And as Maya attended more events, she learned another valuable lesson about networking:
Okay, well, what's that?
reciprocity.
Oh, right. That idea of giving and receiving.
Exactly. It's not just about what you can get from others, it's also about what you can offer them.
It's about creating those mutually beneficial relationships where everyone feels supported and valued.
And Maya starts putting this principle into practice. She reviews portfolios, offers advice, connects people within her network.
Wow, so she's actively contributing to the growth of her community.
And guess what happens?
I bet good things come back to her.
Exactly. People are more than willing to help her in return.
It's like that saying, what goes around comes around.
Right. And the opportunities start pouring in. Recommendations for her work, invitations to cool projects.
I love how those acts of kindness and support create that positive ripple effect.
And Maya doesn't just limit herself to in-person networking. She also uses LinkedIn to connect with people online.
That's a good idea. It's like creating a digital tribe.
Exactly. And she even takes it a step further. She starts organizing her own meetups.
Wow, so she's gone from feeling isolated to becoming this amazing connector, this community builder.
Exactly. Her story is such a great example of how building a tribe can transform your life.
It's not just about getting ahead in your career. It's about finding those people who support you, challenge you, and inspire you to be your best self.
Right. Now, speaking of inspiring people, remember Ethan?
Oh yeah, the guy who loved learning.
Yeah, his story really gets to the heart of lifelong learning.
I remember feeling that same excitement as a kid, When I discovered something new, it was like the world opened up.
Yeah, but life gets in the way, right?
Totally. Responsibilities pile up, and that curiosity can fade a bit.
Ethan shows us how to rekindle that spark.
Okay, so how does he do that?
Well, it all starts with his mindset. His favorite teacher instilled in him this belief that learning doesn't end after school.
That's a great teacher.
Yeah, it's like learning becomes this lifelong adventure, not just a chore.
That's a much better way to think about it. But how does he actually put that into practice?
He starts small, sets realistic goals,
Like what?
like reading one new book a month or learning a few words in a different language.
Okay, that seems manageable.
It's not about becoming an expert in everything. It's just about consistently exposing yourself to new things.
So you don't have to quit your job and go back to school or anything.
Exactly. And as Ethan gets older, his definition of learning expands.
Interesting. What do you mean?
It becomes less about books and classroom.
Oh, I see. So it's more about those everyday experiences.
Exactly. He realizes that there are opportunities for learning everywhere.
So it's like turning your whole life into a classroom.
Exactly. He joins workshops, attends lectures, but he also embraces something called experiential learning.
Oh, what's that?
It's the idea that we learn by
Oh,
doing.
yeah, like hands-on experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he takes a pottery class, even though he's not artistic at all.
Brave. I could never do that.
She struggles at first, his pots are a mess,
I can imagine.
but he sticks with it and finds so much joy in the process.
That's what matters. It's about embracing those challenges.
And learning from your mistakes.
And Ethan doesn't just focus on learning new skills.
Right.
He also takes time to reflect on those experiences.
Yeah, he keeps a journal where he writes about what he's learned.
That's a great idea. It helps solidify those lessons.
And it helps him understand his own learning process better.
So he's becoming more self-aware.
Exactly. He's figuring out what works for him, what doesn't.
So he's becoming his own learning coach.
And as his love for learning grows, Ethan realizes that it doesn't have to be confined to traditional settings.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, he meets this retired professor who tells him all these amazing stories about his travels.
Wow, what a cool encounter.
It opens Ethan's eyes to the fact that learning can happen anywhere.
It's like those chance encounters that can spark something new in you.
Right. And the most inspiring thing is that Ethan's passion for learning actually rubs off on the people around him.
How so?
His friends and neighbors see how much he's enjoying it, and they start embracing learning too.
It's amazing how one person's enthusiasm can be so contagious.
Exactly. Ethan's story reminds us that learning isn't just about acquiring knowledge. It's about cultivating a certain mindset.
That mindset of curiosity and a desire to keep growing.
Exactly. And it's a lifelong journey that can enrich our lives in countless ways.
I'm feeling inspired to start my own learning adventure.
Great. What are you thinking about exploring?
Well, I've always wanted to learn how to play the guitar.
That's awesome.
And maybe I'll check out some online courses on creative writing.
Those are great ideas.
Like you said, learning shouldn't feel like a chore. It should be something we enjoy.
Exactly. And as we continue exploring Level Up Your Life, we'll see how this love of learning connects with all the other strategies for personal growth.
I can't wait to dive into the next part. Now let's shift gears a bit. Level Up Your Life also talks about the power of tapping into our creative potential.
Oh, yeah. Remember Emily?
The young woman who loved reading but felt stuck when it came to writing.
Yeah, her story really resonated with me.
Me too. I think a lot of us have that desire to create something, to share our thoughts and ideas with the world, but sometimes we hold ourselves back.
Absolutely. Whether it's self-doubt or fear of failure, those creative blocks can be tough to overcome.
So how does Emily break through those blocks?
Well, she starts by simply reading more attentively, paying close attention to how her favorite authors use language.
It's like she's turning reading into a master class in writing.
Exactly. She's studying the craft, learning from the experts, and trying to figure out what makes those stories so captivating.
That's a smart approach. It's like reverse engineering the writing process.
And she doesn't just passively observe, she actively engages with the text.
Okay, how does she do that?
Well, she underlines passages that resonate with her.
I do that.
She jots down notes in the margins, and she even tries to imitate the writing styles of authors she admires.
It's like she's absorbing those techniques and making them her own.
And to further develop her skills, she starts keeping a journal.
Ah, yes, the classic writer's journal.
At first, it's a bit awkward, you know.
Oh, yeah. I can relate to that feeling of self-consciousness when you're first starting out.
But she sticks with it, writing every day, even if it's just for a few minutes.
That consistency is so important. It's about making writing a habit.
Right. And as she keeps writing, something amazing happens.
What's that?
She starts to discover her own unique voice, her own way of expressing herself through words.
It's like she's uncovering a hidden talent.
And the journal becomes the safe space for her to experiment, to play with language, to just let her creativity flow without judgment.
I love that. It's like giving yourself permission to be messy and imperfect and just enjoy the process.
And to get some feedback, Emily joins a local writing club.
Oh, brave. That takes courage.
It does. At first, it's a little intimidating to share her work with others and receive criticism.
I can imagine. It's one thing to write for yourself, but it's a whole other thing to open yourself up to feedback from others.
But Emily realizes that constructive criticism is actually a gift.
How so?
Well, it helps her identify areas where she can improve and strengthen her writing.
It's like those critiques become stepping stones, helping her grow as a writer.
Exactly. And she also discovers that writing doesn't have to be a solitary pursuit.
What do you mean?
Well, the writing club provides her with a sense of community.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's like having that support system of people who understand the challenges and joys of writing.
And as she continues to hone her skills, Emily starts exploring the power of words to inspire others.
Okay, what does she do?
She begins writing short, uplifting notes for her friends and family,
Oh, that's sweet.
and she realizes that even those small gestures can have a big impact on people's lives.
It's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference through our words, even in simple ways.
And as Emily's confidence grows, she starts thinking about sharing her writing with a wider audience.
Oh, wow. So she's ready to take things to the next level.
Yeah. Exactly. But she also knows that good writing isn't just about creativity and storytelling. It also requires a solid understanding of the technical aspects of language.
Okay, so she needs to brush up on her grammar and punctuation.
Right. So she enrolls in an online course to learn the nuts and bolts of writing.
It's like she's adding another layer to her writing toolbox,
Yeah.
making sure she has all the tools she needs to succeed.
Exactly. And armed with this new knowledge, she feels ready to share her work with the world.
Okay, so what does she do?
She launches a blog.
That's awesome.
hmm
I've always wanted to start a blog, but I've been too scared to put myself out there.
I get it. It can be scary. But Emily takes the leap and hits publish.
And how did people respond?
The response was overwhelmingly positive. People loved her honesty, her clear writing style, and her ability to make even complex topics relatable.
It's the power of authenticity, right? When we share our genuine voices and perspectives, people connect with that.
And Emily's blog becomes more than just a platform for sharing her writing.
What do you mean?
It becomes a place where she can connect with other writers and readers.
So she's building a community around her words.
Exactly. It's amazing how one person's passion can create these ripple effects of connection and inspiration.
Emily's story is a beautiful example of how following your passions and developing your skills can open up so many doors.
And it all started with her willingness to embrace the learning process, to step outside her comfort zone, and to share her unique voice with the world.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of learning new skills, building your tribe, and tapping into your creative potential.
And there's one more strategy that's crucial for leveling up your life:
Okay, what's that?
sharpening your mind's edge.
Oh, you're talking about critical thinking, right?
Exactly. Remember Liam from earlier?
The boy who loved asking questions and solving puzzles.
Yep, that's him. He's the one who learns to really hone his critical thinking skills.
So how does he go about doing that?
Well, he realizes that critical thinking isn't just about solving problems in your head. It's about engaging with the world in a more analytical and thoughtful way.
Okay, I'm listening.
So he starts by paying closer attention to his surroundings, noticing those details that others might miss.
It's like he's training his mind to become more observant, more aware of the subtleties around him.
Exactly. And he doesn't just observe passively, he actively questions what he sees and hears.
So he's not just taking things at face value, he's digging deeper.
Right. He challenges assumptions and recognizes that things aren't always what they seem.
That's so important, especially in today's world where we're constantly bombarded with information from all sides.
And to really flex those critical thinking muscles, he seeks out diverse viewpoints.
So he's not just sticking to sources that confirm his existing beliefs.
Exactly. He reads articles that present different perspectives on the same issue.
So he's deliberately exposing himself to a wider range of ideas.
And he's not afraid to engage in healthy debates with people who hold different opinions.
So he's using those conversations as opportunities for learning and growth, not just trying to win an argument.
Exactly. He learns to appreciate the complexity of issues and to recognize that there rarely are easy answers.
It's like he's training his mind to become more flexible, more adaptable, and more open to different perspectives.
And as he keeps practicing, he realizes that critical thinking isn't just about forming opinions, it's also about evaluating evidence.
Makes sense. You need to base your conclusions on solid ground.
Right, so he learns to distinguish between reliable sources and those that might be biased or unreliable.
It's like developing your own personal BS detector.
Exactly, and he gets really good at fact-checking and identifying potential biases in the information he comes across.
Those are essential skills, especially in the age of misinformation.
And to keep his critical thinking skills sharp, he seeks out challenges.
Like what?
Well, he joins a debate club, which forces him to think on his feet and construct logical arguments.
Oh, wow, that sounds intense.
It is. But it really helps him refine his thinking and develop his ability to defend his positions under pressure.
It's like he's turned critical thinking into a competitive sport.
And he doesn't just limit those skills to the debate club.
Right, it's about applying them to your everyday life.
He starts analyzing news articles more critically,
Hey.
evaluating marketing claims, even dissecting the logic of his favorite TV shows.
So he's turning his whole world into a critical thinking playground.
Exactly. He's always looking for ways to challenge his assumptions and refine his thinking.
I love that. It's like he's made critical thinking a habit, a way of life.
And perhaps most importantly, he cultivates this habit of reflective thinking.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, he takes time to analyze his own thought processes.
Oh, so it's like turning that critical lens inward.
Exactly. He questions his assumptions, he identifies biases, and he looks for ways to improve his decision-making.
So it's about becoming more self-aware, but also more intentional about how you think and make decisions.
Right. And that reflective thinking becomes a key part of his critical thinking process.
It's like he's constantly fine-tuning his mental operating system.
And it allows him to become more confident, more capable, and more effective in all areas of his life.
Liam's journey really highlights how critical thinking is more than just an academic skill. It's an essential life skill that empowers us to navigate the world with more clarity and confidence.
Absolutely.
Wow. It's amazing how everything we've talked about today is so interconnected.
Right. It's like all these different aspects of personal growth just kind of feed into each other.
Exactly. Like pushing yourself physically can make you mentally stronger, and learning new things can boost your creativity, and having a supportive tribe can help you through those tough challenges.
It's all part of this holistic approach to leveling up your life.
So it's not just about focusing on one area, it's about recognizing how everything works together.
Exactly. And speaking of working together, there's one more level up strategy we need to talk about.
Okay, what's that?
It's something that we've kind of touched upon already throughout this deep dive.
Okay, and I'm intrigued.
It's the power of sharpening your mind's edge through critical thinking.
Oh, yeah. Remember Liam, the guy who loved asking questions and solving puzzles?
Yes. He's the perfect example of how critical thinking can really transform your life.
We talked about how he applied those skills to his physical pursuits.
Right, like when he was training for those races and stuff. Yeah, it helped him become more observant and strategic in his approach.
But Liam's journey with critical thinking didn't stop there.
What do you mean?
Well, he realized that those skills were just as important for other areas of his life, too.
Oh, okay. Like what?
Everything. Making decisions, understanding complex issues, problem solving.
So it's like a superpower for navigating life's challenges.
Exactly. And he didn't go about it in some formal way like taking a class or anything.
So how did he do it?
He just started incorporating critical thinking into his everyday life.
Interesting. So how did that work? Well, first, he just started paying closer attention to everything around him.
Okay, like what kind of things?
Just noticing details that other people might miss, looking for patterns and connections.
So he was training himself to be more observant.
Right. But he didn't just observe passively. He also started questioning what he saw and heard.
So he wasn't just taking everything at face value.
Exactly. He challenged assumptions.
Okay.
Because he realized that what seems obvious on the surface isn't always the whole truth.
That's so important. It's like we're constantly being bombarded with information these days.
Right. And it's easy to just accept things without really thinking critically about them.
And that can lead us down the wrong path.
Exactly. So Liam also made a point of seeking out diverse viewpoints.
So he wasn't just sticking to sources that confirmed his existing beliefs.
Right. He read books and articles that presented different perspectives on the same issue.
So he was deliberately exposing himself to a wider range of ideas.
Exactly. And he wasn't afraid to have those tough conversations with people who disagreed with him.
Oh, wow. So he was willing to engage in those healthy debates.
Yeah, even when things got a little heated.
I admire that. Sometimes it's easier to just avoid those conversations altogether.
But Liam knew that those discussions were valuable even when they were uncomfortable.
So it was about more than just trying to win an argument.
Right. It was about learning from those different perspectives, refining his own arguments.
It's about understanding that there are multiple sides to every story.
And that there rarely are easy answers to complex issues.
I like that. It's about embracing those gray areas.
And as Liam kept practicing this, he realized that critical thinking wasn't just about forming opinions. It was also about evaluating the evidence.
Right. Your opinion should be based on something solid.
Exactly. So he learned to distinguish between reliable and unreliable sources.
So he was becoming more discerning about where he got his information.
Right. And he developed strategies for fact-checking, looking for biases, making sure he wasn't just blindly accepting everything he read or heard.
It's like he built his own internal BS detector.
Exactly. And to keep his critical thinking skills sharp, Liam decided to join a debate club.
Oh, that's a great idea. It's like a mental workout.
Exactly. He learned to construct logical arguments, to defend his positions under pressure.
I can imagine that being a great way to sharpen your thinking.
But he didn't limit those critical thinking skills to the debate club.
Right. It's about applying them to your everyday life.
He started analyzing news articles more carefully, evaluating marketing claims, even dissecting the logic of his favorite TV shows.
So he was basically turning his whole world into a critical thinking training ground.
Exactly. He was always looking for ways to flex those mental muscles.
I love that. It's like he was making critical thinking a way of life.
And maybe, most importantly, he cultivated this habit of reflective thinking.
Okay, remind me what that means.
It means taking the time to analyze your own thought processes.
Oh, so it's like turning that critical lens inward.
Right. Questioning your own assumptions, identifying your own biases, looking for ways to make better decisions.
So it's about becoming more self-aware, but also more intentional about how you think.
And this reflective thinking became a crucial part of his critical thinking process.
It's like he was constantly fine-tuning his mental operating system.
Exactly. Always looking for ways to improve and become a more effective thinker.
Liam's story is a powerful reminder that critical thinking is an essential life skill.
It's not just for academics or intellectuals. It's something we can all benefit from.
It helps us make better decisions, solve problems more creatively, and understand the world around us in a deeper way.
And that's what Level Up Your Life is all about, right?
Exactly. It's about embracing those challenges, those opportunities for growth, and using them to become the best versions of ourselves.
And it's about recognizing that this journey of personal growth isn't something we have to do alone.
We can learn from each other, support each other, and inspire each other along the way.
Exactly. And that's what makes these stories so inspiring.
They remind us that even small actions, when done consistently and with intention, can create those ripple effects that extend far beyond ourselves.
It's about recognizing the power we all have to make a positive impact on the world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we encourage you to think about your own level up story.
What are those areas where you want to grow? What skills do you want to develop? What steps can you take today to start moving in that direction?
Remember, even the smallest steps can lead to amazing transformations.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of Level Up Your Life. We hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as we did.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep leveling up.